Bonjour, bienvenue dans le dernier épisode de FPL Affairs, the podcast where we talk about our 9-month-long love affair with FPL, including the ins and outs that keep us awake at night. In this video, we are going to discuss Game Week 26, our transfer plans, are we going to stick or twist with our assistant manager chip, and let's see whether our predictions for Fantasy Football Hub for our transfers are accurate or not. Let's get cracking.
And there's Mo Salah. There goes Haaland. He's on his way again. He's hungry. He scored. Ice cold precision from Palmer. Kayo Saka. That is a diamond of a goal.
Hello everybody, welcome to our Game Week 26 preview video with me, Matt, aka the FPL Affairs veteran, and alongside me as always, the Game Week 25 Mystic Master, normally known during the day as Jack. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It'd be a bit weird if people referred to me as the Game Week 25 Mystic Master on site, but yeah, normally Jack. Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Oh, and well, after rolling last week, I think we'll jump straight into our
Yeah.
transfer plan. Transfer plans for me, last week I rolled the transfer. I very much was tempted a Bournemouth mid in for Gordon, which for some bonkers reason persuaded myself out of it by thinking, well, that's a popular move people are doing, and Gordon turns up against the big teams. So I decided to just go with it, and that completely backfired, and I was kind of saved by the fact that those Bournemouth mids, none of them hauled, which will go into my team in particular in a little while after yours. But I think mainly before that, I want to focus on the stick or twist with assistant manager, because I've gone 2 weeks with Slot and he's away to Man City. And as I said in the last episode, and when we do the chips, I really wanted to sort of chase this table bonus for enjoyment and excitement purposes. And I haven't had yet. So that's where I'm at. Do I stick with Slot or do I twist and actually chase the upside? I've got 2 free transfers, so one of them will be on a player. The other is, do I roll it? Do I do a second player, which I've got ideas for? Or do I actually do a manager switch? Because I've actually, spoiler alert, well, not a spoiler alert, because we said about you free hitting in 29 and me navigating through it. I've generally at the moment with plans, I've been working backwards from 29 because I don't want to end up getting there and be like, oh, I'm going to need to take a -4 or a -8 or something just to field 11 players. So I've been working backwards to then identify, right, which are the players that are blank in that week am I going to bench and which ones am I going to sell and in which order am I going to sell them, and what that frees me up with. And I have got one transfer available, which I could either do as a luxury move on a third Liverpool player in Game Week 28 when they play Southampton, or I possibly play it switching up Slot.
That's a tough one. I think I think this week of all the weeks with chasing table bonus is there's not many great choices and there's not many teams that are available for table bonus. So looking at the fixtures, Leicester, which is the Friday night game, they're available for table bonus at home to Brentford. West Ham are available for table bonus, but they're away to Arsenal. You have Wolves available for table bonus away to Bournemouth. Palace are available for table bonus, but they're away to Fulham. Ipswich are, I think they're now available for table bonus to Spurs at home to Tottenham. And obviously Southampton are pretty much available for table bonus against everyone at home to Brighton. So you're looking at the whole of the bottom three with Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton. You've got, bottom four, Wolves as well. And then you've got West Ham and Palace, who are slightly better, but both away from home. So it's a really difficult week to go chasing the table bonus, in my opinion. It's something that I've thought about. Obviously, Emery's got Chelsea at home. That's not a great fixture to have. I mean, it's not a bad one because they're on a terrible run of form at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment Chelsea is rubbish.
Yeah, but it's just the type of game where Villa could be tired from last night's game it's on Saturday, late Saturday. So Chelsea would have had a full week's rest playing on Friday. So they'll be playing Friday to Saturday, and Villa will be playing Wednesday to Saturday. So they're similar to Liverpool being a bit leggy when they played Villa last night. Villa might find themselves a bit tired as well. So I'm considering a manager move. I've got one free transfer. But there's just a lot of people will be going Glasner for Crystal Palace. But I think somebody said on the FPL Affairs chat today that they've not lost away since Gameweek 8. Crystal Palace,
they've won
5 of the last 6 away from home.
So they've obviously got a good away record. But Fulham are in a decent vein of form at the moment. They just beat Forest. I think if you look at their previous 3 results, it was obviously winning at Forest, it was beating Newcastle, and then obviously they lost 1-0 to Man United. So there's a bit of a mixed bag there. But yeah, it's just something about that game that maybe I might be Mystic Jack again, but there's something about that game that doesn't scream Palace win to me. The West Ham game doesn't scream West Ham win at Arsenal. The Wolves game doesn't scream Wolves win at Bournemouth. Leicester versus Brentford. I mean, Leicester are just so poor defensively. Brentford are very good going forward. So my honest opinion is I quite like Ipswich this week against Tottenham. But it's a hell of a punt. Do you know what I mean? A hell of a punt. Massive punt. And if I were to move the manager from Emery versus Chelsea, there's nobody I'd want to move it to that I would feel is a dead cert other than maybe Areola at home to Wolves. But Wolves are good on their day. They could go to Bournemouth and get a draw. Everton versus United. I quite fancy Moyes in that game. But then United are a mixed bag. So yeah, I think if I were you with Slot, I would just sort of keep Slot. City are just as tired as Liverpool are after going to the Bernabeu and getting a good hiding. They'll be a bit dejected. Haaland's a bit of a doubt because of his injury. Not that he was in a rich vein of form anyway. So yeah, I don't know who you change it to. I don't know who you change it to. The only person, if I had the budget that you've got, I'd change it to would be what's his name? It's just gone. Arsenal manager, what's his name?
Arteta.
Arteta. So, because that's the only dead cert. They'll probably lose now, but I feel like that's probably the only game that's like nailed on for a result. Is that Arsenal at home to West Ham? I feel like the other ones can go either way.
But then
What's the picker with that one? Although their defence has tightened up recently, is that Saka's obviously still out.
Martinelli's out.
Although both are
There were rumours floating around.
around that Arteta's hoping to have them back available. I think after the international break, the next international break. Havertz is out for the season. Well, Marino came off the bench and scored both of their goals. Nwaneri.
Good little player. He hit the bar twice at the weekend.
But
The worry is really who's going to play up front, and Arsenal are therefore, even though they're the most likely to win at the weekend, it's hardly likely to be a monster score.
I mean, they did put 5 past Manchester City at home 2 games ago, and then went away to Leicester and scored 2 with quite a high XG. So I do still think that they've got attacking prowess. Obviously, West Ham's results have picked up since Graham Potter's been in, but not massively, not to the point where you would say they're like an Everton, for example. I mean, they've drawn with Villa in 23, lost to Chelsea in 24, and then lost to Brentford in 25. So they've lost the last 3 games on the bounce. Again, are you going to change Slot to Arteta? No, not really. It's a pretty boring move. But going for the others, you've basically got a choice of 5 out of the bottom 8.
yeah, it'll be
Glasner for me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that logic, because obviously Palace's away record's great, but Fulham are I just think Fulham are a good side. Beating Nottingham Forest 2-1 at home, that's not an easy task. So in comparison, if they've beaten Forest 2-1 at home one weekend, there's nothing that really tells me that they're not going to beat Palace the following weekend.
I have got one theory which we'll come up to when we go my bus team, but we'll skip on to yours now. Do you want to read it out?
what it's got.
Yeah, so it's got Flecken in goal, back 3 of Gabriel, Trent and Hall, a midfield 5 of Salah as captain, Palmer, Dango, Sarr and Rogers, and then a front 2 of Isak and Watkins, with Robinson, Gakpo is obviously a doubt, and Mikalenko on the bench with the Brentford sub-goalie Valdemarson also on there. I've got predicted points of 65.3 and a game week rating of 95%. With just one transfer. The one thing that I would change in this team is I would probably play Robinson ahead of Hall again, like I did last week. Because although Newcastle are at home, for me, and going back to what I was just talking about with the assistant manager chip, is I would feel that Forest are more likely to score away at Newcastle than Palace are to score away at Fulham. Although that is tight because Mateta's in a real vein of form at the moment. Probably he's almost picked up the form that Isak had previously. They've almost just as one's picked up, the other one sort of dipped. So that would probably explain why they've put it this way. but that would give me Sarr in my midfield versus Robinson. So I'd probably change that at that point. That's mine. You're going to ask me for my AI recommended transfer.
You said you've got one free transfer. What are your thoughts on?
Well, if it's not if it's not a manager move, then Gakpo to either Mateta or Cunha is probably the move I'd make. There's a lot of frustration with Cole Palmer at the moment, but with him about to play Southampton and Leicester in 27 and 28, I just think it's absolute madness to sell him at that point. It's Arsenal and Tottenham in 29 and 30, but for me, Spurs isn't a difficult game. Then it's Brentford, Ipswich, Fulham, and Everton after that. So I just don't really see when I'm going to sell him. And maybe 35, 36, 37, and 38. But I think I'm just going to have to sort of strap in with Cole Palmer for the rest of the season and hope he does okay, or maybe downgrade him if I choose to bring Haaland in. The reason why I like Cunha is because of his run of fixtures: Fulham, Everton, Southampton, and West Ham in the next 4. But for me, Mateta's probably the more likely. I'd like Mateta from game week 28 because it's Ipswich in 28. They don't blank in. They do blank in 29, but I'm free hitting anyway. And then it's Southampton the other side of the blank. And then I'd also have him for 32. And 31 is Brighton at home. So I would probably do Gakpo to Mateta would be my move if I were to make one. And then maybe in sort of 28 when Wolves have Everton, or in 29 sort of I'll probably bring Cunha in for 28. That way I have him for 30 when it's West Ham at home, and have a front three of Isak, Cunha and Mateta by then when I come out of my free hit. But when I free hit in 29, I will be having Cunha in it. I'll probably maybe even triple up on Wolves at that point based on the game at St Mary's. But yeah, that would be my move. I wonder if I would probably say that that's what my AI recommended transfer would be.
What,
Gakpo to one of those.
Yeah, probably. I'd probably say Mateta.
Right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Hit AI recommended transfer.
What is it? You tell me. Mine's just not loading now. You tell me. Go on, was I right?
Roll the transfer.
Oh, it's told me that for 3 weeks now. That's so dull. It's obviously not, because you know what I'm like. I mean, the fact that last week you rolled and I took a -4 is just like a change in the equilibrium of fantasy football. That's absolute madness. But I'm always a roller. But like I'm at the point of the season now where I'm like full steam ahead. I'm ready to tinker away, and I think being a little bit more risk averse over the last 3 or 4 weeks would probably be why I've had 4 or 5 game week rank greens. I'll just get it up. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green arrows in a row with 7 transfers made in that period of time with only 1 hit, which is decent. But making 7 moves in 5 weeks is probably why.
Yeah.
They could have obviously all gone wrong, but yeah, I'm feeling a little bit tinkery at the minute. So yeah, let's have a look at yours. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Gone the other way.
Yeah. So
mine. Let's
skip it up
onto right. Yeah. So mine basically reads slightly different to and slightly controversial, with actually one of the bench options possibly, but not surprising. Pickford in goal, back 3 of Gabriel, Hall, and Munoz, with a midfield of this is where it's not showing it. It's disappeared from my screen, so I'm going by memory now. Midfield of Salah captain, Palmer, Gordon,
Rogers and
Rogers.
Diaz.
And
a front three of Wood, Wissa, and Isak. That
So
stands
Diaz
out
on the bench.
because it has got
Diaz on the bench with Robinson and Williams of Forest. So yeah, my main thoughts about that really are it means I've got Wood against Hall, midfield forward against defence. I've also got the other defensive dilemma of having Robinson and Munoz, but I don't have any Fulham attackers or Crystal Palace attackers. So that would kind of mean if I played both
of them.
that it would be hoping for a goalless draw. That would be the ideal. So, yeah, that's the question marks. And I had been earmarking Diaz as a transfer out. As I said, I've got 2 free transfers, but as I've already said, I've been working backwards from game week 29 with trying to get a team out that I'm happy with, that I'm, well, not happy, but satisfied with from what I've got, and then working backwards. And how that's got backwards to now is Rodgers to Bournemouth mid this week, which I don't want to be boring. I want to be a bit risky actually, and I'm going to go Dango that you've got rather than Clivert, as Clivert's, which Clivert's largely I think the most popular because he
run before Dango.
plus he's the penalty taker. But
Yeah.
I think I'll go with Dango.
with the hope that he'll, by playing number 9 and being a bit more selfish with the big chances, that he'll outscore Clivert marginally, and that difference in ownership will help me out slightly. So that's likely to be one of my 2 free transfers this week.
Watching
And
Bournemouth the other day, though, I mean, that Dango, he's involved. Yeah, I mean, Clivert's obviously on penalties and is owned by 27% of the game, and Dango's owned by 4% of the game. But they're like Dango's involved. Definitely, he gets some XG, I reckon.
So he'd be
going in the 11 automatically for Rodgers. Diaz is therefore still sitting on the bench. Diaz I could bring in because as he was benched on Wednesday, that's
highly likely means he's going to start in City.
I'm not going to bench Wissa away to Leicester.
No.
Which means
I've therefore got the Chris Wood or Diaz benching dilemma. Number 1. That's the first option. Well, not option, that's the first debate. And the second debate is with the defence playing 2 from Hall, Munoz and Robinson.
What about Diaz to Mbeumo?
That I had thought about, but this is where I'd thought about that for ages. Initially, I was going to do Diaz out in game week 25 with Mbeumo coming in,
and then the game week
25 double was announced, which then made me think, right, okay, I'll just put that transfer back a week. But then Mbeumo hasn't really been firing on all cylinders of lately, and the main fixtures you want Brentford attacking assets for, Leicester's largely the last of those, or one of the last of those. And I've looked at going back to game week 29, which I'll be doing constantly for the next few weeks, and it will come round and it will be anyone who watches this will be like, oh, finally Matt can stop going on about game week 29. But it's Brentford against away, to Bournemouth, and the form Bournemouth are on. I think, right, I don't want to have double Brentford attack against, and I have thought about bringing in a Bournemouth defender. I thought I don't want it to get to 29. I've got loads of players blanking, and then out of the players in my starting lineup, they have 2 Bournemouth assets and 2 Brentford assets, and they're facing each other.
Yeah.
So it's why I'm kind of thinking, well,
perhaps making the assumption I get Dango in to just leave the game week 29 involvement in that fixture as Dango and Wissa, and hope it's both teams score and they're involved in it. And
what if Bournemouth Brentford's like a
and then I wouldn't have any involvement in the defence. So that would be that fixture sorted, which rules out and Burmo. Plus also the option of Diaz against Southampton in game week 28,
and
then taken out after that.
I mean, Brentford have got Leicester and Everton coming up the next 2 games. Leicester away, Everton at home.
Everton are doing well though.
I think I agree with your logic, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that Bournemouth game, if you don't have the Bournemouth defender in it, I think that's 2 or 3, or I think that's goals. So I think if you had a Dango and a Visser and an Mbermo and maybe a Clivert, then there's loads of potential for them all to return. But I see your point. And I mean, after the game week 29, Brentford have Newcastle, Chelsea, and Arsenal, and then Brighton and Forest. So 4 out of those 5 games are very a difficult game. In fact, probably all of them, Brighton are in playing really well against Chelsea the other day. So there's some tough fixtures coming.
And I think
for them.
With this season's thing about being able to roll up to 5 transfers, I don't have to decide that now, because if this happened 12 months ago, or if last season's transfer ruling was the same, where you could only hold a maximum of 2 frees, I'd have to make that concrete decision this week. Well, one of them, which is looking likely, so I would at least be able to roll 1, but I wouldn't necessarily be able to say keep Munoz, who's got Ipswich at home in game week 28, so I definitely want him for that.
Yeah.
And Diaz at home for Southampton,
so it'd be like, right, well, I definitely like that. So it's that second transfer about whether I'm feeling a bit more inclined to leave Diaz in, certainly for this week, because he was benched on Wednesday. Munoz leaves
starts
forthcoming fixtures, and as I worked out, I've kind of now, because I stayed with Slot last week and didn't do my previously planned Burmo move, I've kind of got 1 transfer to play with between now and 29, and that could be a manager transfer, or I've even actually played with the idea of taking Hall out in going into 28 and bringing in Van Dijk or a Liverpool defender for the Southampton game, and then benching them, or even taking them straight out, because I'd be able to do that without taking a hit, because the Liverpool defender would be coming in for a player that's blanking anyway.
Are you wildcarding before 32 so you can bring the Newcastle player back again then?
My plan is Wildcard 31, because we know by that point we should know which teams are doubling for sure in 33. So
Yeah.
our wildcard in 31, Isak triple captain 32, bench boost 33, hoping it's a big blank. That's penciled in. 34 free hit in the blank, 35 nothing. And actually,
That's
that's
it.
almost
Yeah.
you've got.
That's all you out. Yeah. I think keep that other transfer because if you're going to have bare 11 in 29, for example, so if you're looking at getting to 29 and having a bench of Salah, Isak, and Diaz or Hall,
it's likely to be, I think,
Munoz.
They'll play a
4-4-2, so it'll likely be a defender which is either Munoz or Hall.
Yeah.
at the moment it's Hall.
Because I've got value tied up in him. Munoz, I don't. Even though I'd probably want to get Munoz straight back the following week, or I just play.
Play 29 with 10 men.
Well, that would be my point. I'd keep that other transfer because if there's an injury in any of them, in any of your playing players, i.e., if there's an injury to Visser, for example, then it gives you a chance to still have 11. So I wouldn't necessarily force a move on changing a Newcastle player for a Liverpool player, or do you see what I mean? In changing a blanker for another blanker, I would just keep it, and then that might allow you to make a move like bringing in a Wolves player for 29. So like doing a that might allow that might allow you to make a move like Visser to Cunha, who will have Southampton in 29, because the free hitters will have Cunha.
One idea actually, which I probably will need to wrap this up in a moment. We'll look at my AI recommended transfer. But with the number of transfers I've got, I have got the possibility of switching Wissa to Mbermo for 29, which actually I'll put it a different way. So by taking Diaz out, if I replaced him with Mbermo, the free transfer I could then actually spend doing Wissa to Cunha in 29.
Yeah.
So then
up front, that in 29 I'd have Wood against Ipswich and
Cunha against
Southampton.
Mm-hmm.
My Brentford Bournemouth matchup would be Dango and
Mbermo
in midfield. Salah's obviously benched. The other ones being Palmer and
Rodgers. Rodgers isn't playing.
No,
because if I do
He'd be Dango.
Dango.
Yeah.
Salah benched. Dango.
Palmer.
Oh yeah, because I need to get rid of. Get rid of from my current midfield 5. I've got four of them are blanking at the moment.
In 29,
both Liverpool, Gordon and Rodgers. So 4 of my midfield at the moment are blanking in 29.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one coming in for Rodgers, likely Dango. Someone coming in for Diaz, and someone coming in for Gordon. So that could potentially be Mbermo, and it could be another Bournemouth midfielder, or it could be someone else that's doing all right, possibly Mitoma. That's something that I'd be making nearer the time, because it's looking likely that I'll keep Diaz for that game
I
week
like I like
28.
the I like the Diaz. If you had your two free transfers this week, I like the just to quickly summarise. I like the Mbermo move from Diaz, or you could do the Gordon to Mbermo move this week, and still have
That
Diaz for the Southampton game. And then I like the switch from Visser to Cunha in 29, and I like the Rodgers to Dango move. I think that's what I would do. I like those moves. And then you have Diaz for Southampton in 28, and then you could just transfer him to like a Forest mid with Ipswich, or you could go to Bowen, who's got Everton, or you know what I mean, or
yeah.
you could even go for a Cliver at that point, who'll have Brentford and have two Bournemouth mids. I like that idea.
Mm. Anyway,
Yeah.
my AI transfer.
I know what the transfer recommended is, or the not transfer, whether to roll or whether to do a transfer.
Yeah,
What's your
I
thoughts?
yeah, roll, I think.
You think
Roll?
Yeah, and the old me would agree. Not the Claudio Ranieri Tinkerman in
I
me.
don't know if you can hear it.
It's a Parisian drum roll.
Rodgers out, Dango in.
Well, get it done. Get that done then, because
I'll
that
be
tells you
checking price
everything.
rises tonight. I'll be checking
Taking price rises tonight, and if
any or
you
you.
can,
I'll
whilst
do
you're
it
on
now,
there.
yeah. Let's have a look at the old scoreboard.
While
So,
Jack's doing
yeah,
that, please like and subscribe.
he's literally due to rise tonight.
Well, I best say, please like and subscribe. Hopefully,
Or
you
just
can.
quickly, and Burmo's due to rise as well.
Now,
Come on, put the pressure on me. Why don't you?
Oh, we all know what you're doing after this.
well,
But then on the flip side, I've got 1.5 million coming back, being returned from slot after one more game week, and
Mm-hmm.
I've got 1.1 million in the bank anyway. And the transfers I'm thinking about at the moment are actually for cheaper players.
I'd do that. I'd do both those moves tonight. Genuinely, I would. Deadlines tomorrow. And Burmo and Dango
I think
in for
it'll be
Gordon and
Jordan.
Rodgers. Yeah.
I'll have a think
Tune in
Yeah,
next week to find out.
yeah.
whether I've done both.
Or not done both.
That would be the question. So, yeah, please like and subscribe. Hopefully, this has come helpful. And if it hasn't, if you've got similar moves planned as Jack and myself, just don't forget that the deadline is Friday at 6:30 UK time, which means I'm going to be completely screwed tomorrow. My head's going to be going around being like, right, what time is it as I'm in Paris? And I'll be like, so I think that's going to be 7:30 p.m. my time, but 6:30 p.m. to normal people in the UK. But yeah, get in touch. x.com at FPL Affairs, Facebook group where we originate from, FPL Affairs, and our YouTube channel at FPL Affairs. And yeah, we're going into chip strategy as I've said it, and I'm going to be saying it as well as nagging about, not nagging, but going on about Game Week 29. Chip season, look out for our Idiot's Guide. And as said, the Idiot's Guides, we're referring to Jack and I as the idiots, possibly. Or possibly not. How you interpret the term idiots is entirely up to you. But final thoughts from you, Jack, before I do my not quite infamous.
No, I think it's famous. No. Good luck to everybody. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.
Yep.
Tune in
And
next week to see if Matt made early moves.
Yep.
keep your FPL affairs under wraps. I haven't done so with mine. Not entirely.
Well, it'd be a bit of a rubbish podcast if you did.
Yeah.
Keep your definitive FPL affairs under wraps until the deadline tomorrow, and then plaster them all over social media if you choose to do so.
Thanks for
Goodbye.
watching.
No, good
Luck.